Hello, this is Ross Bliley from the podcast Pigskin Tales. This podcast is sponsored by Sterling Soap Company. With products sold throughout 41 locations around the globe, Sterling Soap Company has a unique assortment of products to choose from for your loved one for the holidays. Handmade artisan soaps created by Roderick and Amanda Lovin since 2012, these products are affordable and provide great value. Act now and save on your shipping costs. If you purchase $75 or more, your shipping cost is free in the United States. Shop now online at sterlingsoap.com.
And we'd like to welcome everybody back to the Football's Family Podcast. It's getting darker now in Tennessee, and not just with the light, but with my football team, the Titans. It's pretty dark. I don't want to talk too much about it, but it hurts. So we're going to talk a little bit about the business of sports today with an author here, and I'm going to let him introduce himself.
Yeah, thanks, Jeremy. My name's Ken Belson. I'm a sports business writer for the New York Times. I write in the business section, and I've covered the business of sports for about 15 years, and specifically the business of the NFL for about 10, 12 of those years.
Now, we were talking off recording just a second ago that some people that you have talked to said it's entertainment and not a business. But what I understand is even in Nashville, we go up. I went to a preseason game. I think I took my daughter, and we walked by the new stadium that they're building, and that's a billion point two or $3 billion stadium. That's a business.
Oh yeah, yeah,
So you can't tell me that this is just entertainment if a city or even a family like the Adams want to shell out that much money.
yeah. No, absolutely. And I was referring to my editors because I pitched the sports business beat a long time ago, and they said, "Oh no, no, it's sports is like quote unquote fun." I said, "No, no, it's a big business. You got all the big sponsors, you got big money stadiums, you've got big network ratings, billions and billions of dollars are going through the leagues, not just football, but all the leagues, and now of course college football." So to me, that's a business. That's a legitimate topic for a business writer. Just to give you a little scope, the NFL doubled its size between 1989 and 2006. That was when Paul Tagliabue was the commissioner. It doubled in revenue from about 4 billion to 8 billion. Roger Goodell took over in 2006. He's been commissioner now for about 19 years, about the same time as Tagliabue, and revenue has tripled. So one of the things is those stadiums, like the one going up in Nashville, and the other is really the media puzzle, the fact that they dominate television the way they do.
Well, let me ask you this because we're going to talk about your book, Every Day is Sunday. And I haven't had a chance to read all of it, but what I've read was, I mean, just amazing. You're an amazing writer. Um, there's in my opinion, there's two ways to look at the NFL's growth, and TV is one of them because if I remember correctly, a couple of years ago, and that's my dog Money Penny. She wants to say hi. Please go somewhere else. Um, if I remember correctly, about 2 years ago, the top 10 rated shows that year was five or six were football.
Yeah.
And and I watched the NFL draft every year. This year, I was very interested because my Titans picked Cam Ward.
Hmm.
And next year, odds are they're going to be the number one pick again, which is not necessarily a good thing. But that even had bigger ratings than NBA playoffs. I mean, am I mistaken on that?
No, you're not. You're not. No, it's. I think the biggest share of the ratings they had was I think in 23, 93 of the top 100 shows were football games. Now that included some bowl games too, but that's. I mean, remember the old days, or at least when I'm old enough, it was always sitcoms. All in the Family, MASH, you name it, right? Seinfeld was in the top 20 for years. But not anymore. Football dominates. The entertainment world has gotten all fractured. The other sports don't draw as well because a lot of them are on cable TV. And the NFL, one of the secrets to their success, and this is outlined in the book, is they stuck with over-the-air TV. Still are sticking with it because it gets to the widest audience, what they call reach, basically. Fox with most of the NFC games, CBS with AFC, and mostly 90% of their games are still technically free over
Well,
the
isn't
air.
that how the AFL actually did something? Was it NBC that they had or ABC? I don't remember which one it was, but they signed a deal, and I think was it Pete? No, who was it that was the commissioner at that time?
Pete
Said when that
Rozelle.
deal
Yep.
was it Pete Rozelle?
Yep.
He said that that deal made them real. I mean, like a $4 million a year deal,
Yep.
which almost covered Joe Namath's signing bonus. But here's the thing: I remember growing up in TV, there were two games on a week.
Yep.
There was Sunday night football wasn't a thing yet. Monday night was, but you had a morning or afternoon, you had the late afternoon, and then you had Monday night. Now, I think at this time we're talking, there's a Thursday night game, then
Yep.
you got a Sunday morning, Sunday night, um, Sunday afternoon, Sunday night, Monday night, and then you'll have Thursday nights coming up in the next month. And what I remember hearing is that you would have so much football that it would water it down. From what I understand is that that's not happening.
No, there was a prediction by Mark Cuban, the old owner of the Dallas Mavericks, and he said the NFL was going to get piggy and greedy and gobble up too much television, and then it would saturate the market. And that has not been the case. You did mention that 9:30 international window now. We have a game on Black Friday that Amazon puts on. We got
Yeah.
Christmas is going to have three games this year, two of them with Netflix. So the NFL's trying to find its spots. I find the Christmas one really interesting. Sometimes Christmas would land on a Sunday and you would get football, but I think last year it was on a Wednesday,
Yeah.
maybe. And that was always the NBA's big coming out party. You had a couple of months of early season games, but they'd have five games, five NBA games on TNT or whatever the channel was, and that was their big blockbuster. And the NFL said that doesn't matter to us.
Well, was it, and again, this is not anything to do with your book, but I love talking about this and you are very knowledgeable and this is cool to me. A couple of years ago, or was it last year, a couple of years earlier, Alvin Kamara went nuts and what, six touchdowns, and was
Yeah.
it Ernie Nevers that he tied his record? Was it Ernie Nevers?
Yeah.
Well,
I think it was Gail Sayers, maybe.
it might have been Gale Sayers too.
Yeah.
One of those, Alvin Kamara just went nuts. And I was watching that game, and I thought, I'm watching history being played. I was there when Derrick Henry ran the 99-yard touchdown. I was behind, I was way up there because that's all I could afford. And seeing it live is one thing, but watching on TV and hearing, because I've been to a New Orleans Saints game down there, and they are just rabid. It's
Yeah.
awesome. It's awesome to watch. But anyway, your book, you're talking about how the NFL grew from a $4 billion a year to what is it now, 32,
23 billion.
23?
Yeah.
Um, Part of that is every year for a long time I would buy a hat, get a new hat. Now it's $50 a pop, and I can't do that. Um, then you have the merchandise sales, and what I've told is that the big money draw for the stadiums, the beer and the food.
Yeah.
But we both know that the major money is in the TV deals.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. If you look at a pie chart of the NFL revenue, two-thirds of the pie is what they call national money. That's, the money from the networks and then national sponsorships, Pepsi, Verizon, probably GM or Ford, those big companies, two-thirds of the money. And Jim Irsay, the old owner of the now late owner of the Colts, told me, I said to him, that money, that two-thirds money that every team gets equally, you're automatically going to make money. Like you turn on the lights at the beginning of the season, you're already profitable. And everything after that, the beer, the parking, the hat that you're wearing, all that other stuff, that's gravy to the NFL owners. And so I brought this up to him. It's like you got to the point where nobody loses money. You could be the worst team and you're still getting the big paychecks. And he joked, he said Gomer Pyle could run an NFL team. It's like putting a 747 on autopilot. And in a certain way, I mean, the Jets are 0-6 now, and they're still going to make the same money that the Cowboys or the Tampa Bay Buccaneers are going to make. So yeah, that's a pretty good business model when everybody's making money.
Well, okay. So on your cover of your book, it's right here. You have Robert Kraft, which the way he turned around the Patriots from a losing money, I think that the previous owner before him only had it 1 or 2 years.
Yes,
He was
right.
talking about moving it to, was it Hartford?
St. Louis.
Oh, he's
Yeah.
talking about moving to St. Louis. Okay. Um, oh yeah, the St. Louis Patriots sounds awful. Um, and then Robert Kraft bought the team, bought the material for the new stadium, and didn't know if he was going to be able to build it, but was going to make a profit off the material. Then over a span of 20 years, he made, several Super Bowls, six of them won, probably had the greatest coach quarterback combo of all time. Although I'm starting to think it was more quarterback than coach, but North Carolina is not where Bill Belichick should have gone.
Yeah.
You have him showing a newer way at the time of thinking, but on the other end of your book, you have Jerry Jones, which I remember him saying that what he paid for the Cowboys, he wanted to be in the AFL, owning no, was it AFL or NFL? He
No,
wanted to own
AFL.
he went to AFL meeting, he wanted to buy and they wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
But he ended up buying the Cowboys for what, just about $100 million, and he said he had to have some lead to hold him down after he bought that.
Yeah.
But they were losing $1 million a day, according to him. And
Yeah.
what he did
Yeah.
was sign different deals that actually went against the NFL. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, Jerry was very much a maverick. He took his cue from Al Davis, the old owner of the Raiders, who was sort of reckless, fearless, however you want to call it, and who was not afraid to sue the NFL to get his way. That's how he moved from Oakland to LA and back again. And so Jerry saw that, and look, Jerry went heavily into debt to buy his club. They were losing $1 million a month. The fans had
Or a
abandoned
month,
them.
not a day. I'm
Yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, and there was a the oil market had collapsed in Texas, so a lot of his corporate suites weren't being filled. So he definitely wanted the team for sure, but he needed new sources of money. And one way he did that was, as you said, he started marketing locally. And so the league at that time was a Coca-Cola league, and Jerry said, "Well, okay, that's fine. I don't mind if the league is a Coke league, but I'm going to sell Pepsi." In Dallas in the stadium. The league was a Visa league, and Jerry went over to Amex and got an American Express sponsorship. Nike, he went with Nike when the league was a Reebok league, and he pissed the other owners off because he was breaking ranks with them, and there were dueling lawsuits. But ultimately, Jerry was smart and won. Basically said, each of you guys in your own markets, Amy Strunk in Nashville and Tennessee, you could sell the heck out of whatever you want locally. It doesn't matter whether it conflicts with the NFL. And so we get two sources of revenue. We get the national media, and then you get your local media. And that local media you keep to yourself. So you have an incentive. And that's what Jerry's point was. We should all be entrepreneurs. We're most popular in our own markets. Why don't we try and sell the heck out of that? Now, it didn't hurt that Jerry had Michael Irvin, he had Troy Aikman, he had Emmett Smith, so he knew he was selling at a peak and he could get a good price for it.
Okay, can I ask you, and maybe I just forgot what it was, but something to deal with. How is it with a deal like that? How did they not conflict?
Oh, they did. Yeah,
Well,
the
I'm just saying
NFL.
that, like
Yeah.
Pepsi and Coke, how is it that eventually they were able to settle that?
Okay, so what they did was, thanks to Jerry sort of breaking the glass, so to speak, was they said, okay, in your market, your North Texas, in Dallas's case, 75-mile radius, whatever it is, however they determine your local market, you could sell whatever you want. You could sell more to Pepsi or more to Coke, have a local deal in your stadium, and you keep that money yourself. So that's true of the cap you buy. If you buy a Titans cap when you're in New York, the revenue from that cap that the NFL gets, that's split 32 ways equally. If you buy it in the Titans Stadium, the Titans owner keeps all that revenue. So what Jerry was saying was we should be incentivized to sell the NFL brand, the Cowboys brand, whatever it is, in our own markets. And I'm not going to sell in San Francisco. Cowboys can't do that. They can't go over to Phoenix and sell in the Arizona Cardinals. But in their zone, they should be able to market, and
So
that's
is
become the norm.
is that why? And again, I hear markets. Is that why owners fight for that 75 mile or whatever it may be, and they don't like other people getting in that market?
Yeah, so there was a lot of talk. You remember during after Katrina, the Saints had to bug out of New Orleans and they
Yeah.
moved to San Antonio. And there was talk. Tom Benson, the owner of the Saints, was actually he wanted to move to San Antonio. He had businesses there. He has a ranch there, or did have a ranch there, and that's not cool with Jerry Jones because now San Antonio's a couple hours south, and that's encroaching on Cowboys territory. And then you got the Houston Texans below there. And so it would have been very complicated to add that third team right between the two other franchises. I mean, they would have settled it somehow, but and then New Orleans would have been wide open. So the NFL really, there were a lot of reasons, but that was one of them. Is you can't just pick up and move anywhere you want.
Okay, so how did the Jets and the Giants do that?
Well, they're sort of grandfathered in because they came from different leagues, and then the leagues merged. So if it was only the Giants and you tried to expand and include the Jets, there would be a big compensation fee that the Giants would be losing market share, that kind of thing. But they didn't they were rival leagues, and so they merged in 1966. So it was just a historical accident that there are two teams in the New York market. But yeah, most there are no other. Well, L.A. now, but L.A. back in the day, there was the Raiders came down, and the Rams were not happy with that back in the '80s. The Raiders are still wildly popular in Southern California. So yeah, there's been conflict. The owners don't want competition in their own markets, but the Jets Giants case is a historical kind of anomaly.
Okay. And what I understand about the Chargers is that they're a tenant,
Yes.
so they pay rent.
Right, right. And frankly, it's one of the better deals if you're an NFL owner. They didn't have to pay for the stadium. They get sponsorship money and they sold PSLs, and they don't have to worry about the upkeep. So, it's a bit of a failure, I think, because San Diego was a great market. The fans loved going there. The NFL loved to have Super Bowls there. The fans are really loyal in San Diego, but the Chargers are now one of the forgotten teams. You got the Lakers, you got the LA Kings, you got the Dodgers, you got the Rams, and the Chargers are way down the list now. They really owned San Diego, and there's still a lot of affection for the team. But they sort of gave all that up to get a nice stadium up in LA.
So you're looking at in the South where I am right now, Tennessee is the Titans are pretty much it right in the middle. Above it, you have Cincinnati, and above that, you have Cleveland. You go down further south, and you have Atlanta, which is a Falcon. Actually, it's more of a Braves city, but it's a Falcon city too.
Yep.
Especially when Dion was it was '89. Dion was drafted. That became MC Hammer on down there. You go down to Florida. Florida's what I don't understand, and maybe you can help me with that. Tampa Bay, Jacksonville, and Miami. Miami's way down there. But Jacksonville and Tampa Bay are right next to each other, and not really, but you know what I mean.
Yeah,
How
a
does that
couple hours.
work?
Yeah, they had an expansion. Tampa came in '76, and I guess the Jacksonville came in '93. I guess with the expansion that added the Carolina Panthers too.
Yeah.
I think their idea was the Jacksonville actually draws from northern Georgia down to about Gainesville, and the Tampa draws the whole West Coast over to Orlando, and that's kind of Orlando's kind of in the middle. I don't think they'll ever add a team in Orlando. And I've spoken to some owners, no offense to the current owner of the Jaguars, but I think some of the owners wanted a do-over. They wanted to be in the Sun Belt, but and I'm not talking about the Jaguars winning or losing. I just, geographically, it's just, it's not
Well,
that dynamic of a city. If somebody said, "What's going on in Jacksonville?" What would you tell them, right? There's a naval base, so it's a bit of an odd market, and I think for many years they were thinking if any team was going to go to LA, it would be the Jaguars because nobody would miss them in Jacksonville. But Shad Khan, the owner, has done a lot to kind of build it up. They're fixing up the stadium and they're adding hotels and stuff down there. So he's made a good effort of it.
that game they played last was the last Sunday. ended up pretty well. I remember 96. I'm a Bronco fan growing up. In 96, the Broncos probably had the best team I've seen ever. And Mark Brunell and the Jaguars beat them that year. So it was quick. And we
Yeah.
almost had an expansion Super Bowl that year. Um, even in Carolina, Carolina is not close to Tennessee. Tennessee is a long state. Carolina is not close to it. Virginia, though, you have the Redskins, excuse me, the Commanders
Yeah.
and the Ravens within what, just not very far from each other.
Yeah. 70, I think it's about 75 miles.
So it's right in that area.
Yeah. And again, Washington was not happy when the Ravens came back, but that was a whole other thing because the Browns were unable to get a stadium. And there was this sense that the Colts left, they literally left in the middle of the night, and that
They did.
Baltimore was kind of owed a team. Like that was a really bad day for the NFL when the Colts packed
I
up and
had
left.
a I have a friend. Well, I have a friend who was from Indianapolis, and she said when they came to Indianapolis, they didn't know what to do with them.
Yeah,
But I've talked to several people, people that you would like to talk to. Jack Gilden is one of them, great author too. And he was talking about when the Colts left Baltimore when he was younger. He said that was like a death in the family.
that's right.
You
That's
go
right.
from Johnny Unitas and Raymond Berry, and you go from those guys. They were down. We know that they were
Yeah,
down. And then you go from them going to Indianapolis and eventually winning a Super Bowl, and then Cleveland losing theirs, going to Baltimore and winning two Super Bowls.
yeah,
Just
yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of hurt feelings in all of this, and I think the league felt obligated to put a team back in Baltimore. Now, Baltimore did the hard work of building a stadium without a team, and Art Modell in Cleveland, he was having a hard time getting money for a new stadium there. And Baltimore calls up and says, "We got one built for you. Just move on over." And it was really ugly. Cleveland was a diehard football town, and Paul Tagliabue at that time in 1996, the league was being sued by the city, and he said, "I promise you, the next team that comes into the league, you'll get it." The next expansion team. And that was a very unusual promise. They also got to keep the logos and the Linton records. Jim Brown.
that that right there to me was weird when I heard that. It was very respectful because that's Jim Brown,
Yeah,
that's Bernie Kosar,
yeah,
that's those people. They're Michael Dean Perry's when I was thinking of too. Um, Imagine Cleveland losing the Browns and it'd be the Baltimore Browns. How weird is that?
yeah,
It
yeah.
wouldn't be right.
No. And Jim Brown never stepped foot and was never played for the Colts. So I thought that was a good settlement by Tagliabue. He realized how ugly that was. Now remember 95, there were a whole bunch of bad things going on. The Rams left LA,
Yeah.
moved to St. Louis to move into a new stadium. The Raiders went back to Oakland. There was so much dislocation and it's disruptive. You piss off the fans. You redo the schedules, the divisions get all bounced around. It's just a bad look when you're abandoning cities. And yet it happens every sort of decade or so. We had it in
Well,
2016.
well, with the Titans,
And when the Titans left Houston to come up,
yeah, they went from Houston Oilers, which I remember them, Warren Moon and
Bum
the
Phillips.
running gun, and them losing to the Bills that game, which was awful,
Yeah,
which caused them to move. That's eventually the straw that broke the camel's back. But they moved to Memphis. Memphis didn't want them because Memphis wanted their own team.
yeah.
So eventually the Titans came, or the Oilers at the time came to Vanderbilt Stadium, and I watched several games there. I saw John Elway play his last year, and that's something I've always wanted to see. He played one series, threw a touchdown, and sat down. I'm like, my life is good now. My life is good now. And really, Nissan Stadium now was very quickly built and rebuilt during a tornado for a very cheap amount. And you can tell how many times they had to redo it. But your book, can you tell me, because we're about to run to the part where Zoom tells me I need to quit. Can you give us one story or one thing about the business of the NFL? Because I've enjoyed this. I've enjoyed this talk. This is fun. One story that shows us what the NFL business is all about.
I'll give you one. We haven't talked about gambling yet, so I'll tell you a little bit about this. But the main characters in my book, Jerry Jones, Robert Kraft, and Roger Goodell, they fly out to Las Vegas. This is 2016. The Raiders are trying to get a stadium built, or actually get approval for the permission to move from Oakland to Las Vegas. And they go out there to talk with the county commissioner and some of the politicians. And they basically sit down. And the county commissioner told me a couple of years ago, he said, I was amazed, all this stuff about gambling and, we don't want to be in Vegas and, we're afraid of the integrity of the game and all that stuff. They never once asked about gambling. They just wanted to make sure that Las Vegas was going to be big enough to support an NFL team. And he was surprised. He thought, the public statements of the commissioner, Goodell, and the others was, gambling's forbidden and all that. But no, they were already looking past it. They already saw that the laws were going to be changed and that, Las Vegas was a great entertainment city. It was ultimately going to be a Super Bowl city. And that's what they're looking 5, 10 years out. That's their business. And not for nothing, Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft owned early shares in DraftKings well before it became a betting. It was a whatever they called it, a game of chance instead of a game of skill. And
Insider knowledge, huh?
exactly. So these guys, look, they're successful businessmen for a reason, and they see the broader picture. I'll leave you with one other thought here. There's a quote in the book about Roger Goodell, and basically, it's Roger doesn't really worry about the NBA or Major League Baseball. He wants the NFL to be seen in the same light as Disney and the Vatican. Family friendly media entertainment company and a cultural institution, not a religion, but a cultural institution. That's what he sees the NFL as. And that's why every day is Sunday. That's where that title kind of comes from. He wants to just dominate, he already does dominate the media universe and kind of the mind share of America running through the NFL.
Here's the thing. I've always been concerned, and I say concerned, whatever. It's entertainment, but it's also business, whatever. Like you're saying, the NFL is going to price out people like me,
Yep.
and they're already doing it. I'm a preacher, so on Sundays I can't drive to Nashville. I get out an hour. It's just not possible. But I can come home and I have Paramount, and the Titans are usually on NBC. Except this month they've been on Fox twice because they played out west.
Mm-hmm.
And while Fox lets you watch about an hour free, I don't really want to pay for the app for
Mm-hmm.
2 games.
Mm-hmm.
If you have Amazon Prime, you can watch several games. Peacock, you can watch several games. But man, when you start adding that up, and
Yep.
there's your money flow, because there are people, that's money to me right there. There's people that will pay for those things. And I remember when I was down in Alabama, I got Sunday ticket just to watch the Titans play.
Right.
And that was $150, but I
Yeah.
wanted to see my Titans play.
Right.
It's a lot of money in there. Where can we find your book?
Amazon, barnesandnoble.com, your local bookstore. It just came out on Tuesday. We're a couple of days into it now, and I've been fortunate to meet people like you. There's so many football fans out there, and there's a lot of curiosity. We know that football's big, but the book tries to tell the story of how did it get there. And as I mentioned earlier, with those characters, Robert Kraft and Jerry Jones, these guys are long-term thinkers. This wasn't by accident.
I'll tell you what, we're about to end. If you are available within a week or two of the Super Bowl, something tells me you know about the business of the Super Bowl. I would love to hear it.
Sure. I'm happy to come back.
You are an amazing guest, and what I've read so far, you're an amazing author. Thank you, Mr. Ken, for coming on.
Thank you, Jeremy. Appreciate it.
And Moneypenny says bye too, And thank y'all for listening to the Football's Family Podcast.
The Sports History Network, where legends live on and the past plays loud. Welcome to the place where history's proud. From gridiron glory to the hardwood stars, from the racetrack heat to Olympic bars. It's the voices, the stories, the moments you miss, told by fans and pros who live for this. Hook and Themic, the Sports History Network, where the past comes alive. Podcasts and blogs that keep the flame high. From Babe to Brady, Alley to the Dome. If it's history and sports, then this is the home. SportsHistoryNetwork.com, the headquarters of sports yesteryear.